about it. But I think your journey to artist, like to full on
Mhm.
living out loud as an artist, like maybe
Mm.
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can do that. I went to school. I've been a photographer for a long time, but I went to school in 2008. I graduated in 2010 from creative photography at Humber College here in Toronto. And I've been freelancing ever since, but I didn't decide to go full time until the panty hit. And when the panty hit, I was currently out of work. I was on a bit of a break from my food service job that I was working primarily, and I had some savings, and so I wasn't planning to go back. And I was like, okay, we're gonna go for this. And then through the pandemic, I worked as a social media marketer and creating content and combining all of those things. And I started taking on branding portrait clients. And really, the branding portrait clients took off during the pandemic because people started to understand the importance of social media. Before that, it was still really new. People were still using it personally rather than professionally. And so, yeah, I had one client that was awesome. Her name's Tamika, and we did a big photo shoot. And yeah, so Tamika put me in connection with you because through the pandemic, I had started to really ramp up my practice, my art practice, and she had been following along and seeing that I was selling art pieces and things like that. And yeah, she just reached out and said, I don't know if this is what you do, but if it is, I have someone who's looking for a graphic designer. And here we are. And as soon as I,
And
also through the pandemic, I was looking for, how could I put it? I was rediscovering my soul, so to speak. And so, I had really started getting into what I call woo woo, the woo woo ness of life. And I had really started looking into oracle decks and healing and all of this stuff and self healing. And I mean, through July 2020, as a Black person, it was pretty hard to ignore. And we were forced to do a lot of soul searching and have very tough conversations. And being biracial, I had a lot of tough conversations through that led me into my healing and spiritual journey. So when the opportunity for an oracle deck came along, it just made sense. It came at the perfect time. It came at the perfect time,
a black oracle deck,
especially that.
right? Right, a black oracle deck. And so on my side, the journey to finding you was, I think the word is stressful. I think that's the word I'm going to choose. It was because it's such a special project, and I feel like I am particularly. We all have strengths and talents and skills, and like visual expression is not one of mine, right? So to have this great big vision, and then to have the graphic designer who I worked with last time, and we had a great rapport and a great relationship. To have her, and she wasn't available to be, because this is, it's a fairly large project, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's not like I have a Rolodex full of graphic designers. And I was pretty clear that I wanted. I'm learning how to network and learning how to utilize my network and learning how to ask for referrals. And as I was sort of like typing up the job description, I kept saying like bonus points for a Black woman, and then I would get referrals, and I was like, you know what? It's actually a requirement. I actually need a Black woman. Like the person needs to, they need to understand the Black female body. They need to understand what it means to live in the Black body. They need to understand what it means to represent the Black body. I'm pretty committed to not Photoshop. Like as big of a Photoshop project as this deck is, I'm committed to not Photoshopping the women,
Mm.
right? Which has also been a whole other come to Jesus thing, even with myself and getting in front of a camera and be like, "Oh Lord." But it's, I needed someone who could actually understand what it's like to move in these bodies,
Yes.
right? And so someone was like, well, why don't you ask Tamika? And it was really funny when they said that. My brain spelled her name a different way, and so I was thinking of a different Tamika, and I was like, but why would I ask her? Like I couldn't. And then finally I was like, oh, Tamika, why? Yes, let me call Tamika. And we had this really interesting back and forth, back and forth. She's like, well, I think this is your person. And then I saw your website, and it was your picture. The picture sold it for me. Before I even talked to you, I was like, oh, this is my person. This is my person. I know that's, but you got to go with the feeling, right? I was like, sure, I'll do the due diligence. I need to see your work, see how
Yeah.
like, let's have a conversation. Because I also need someone who's going to like reel me in,
Mm.
because it's sort of all over the place. Like I know that I'm can be, and it's a big project. So it's like, we got to, someone who can be like, okay, and also create the visuals. So I feel very sorry that was a long story, but I feel very blessed and excited. The headband's working, by the way. I feel
Yeah,
very blessed and
it is.
excited. And I mean, the more that I get to know you, right, and the more that we work together, and to find out that you are as excited about decolonization as I am, that was the sort of the because I talked to other people, even Black women who like they were artists, but they didn't necessarily have a relationship with the process, the healing process of decolonization, right? And
I
I was like,
mean,
I think that's actually really
it's really hard. It's a big subject matter, and yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I didn't through 2020, I will say this, that I really didn't know how much I knew until I had worked with a not-for-profit here in Toronto called Dandelion Initiative, and it's for sexual assault survivors, bisexual assault survivors. And there is a lot of language that they use in there. And I was a board member. And so I really learned a lot of language around decolonization because of that organization. And also Amanda Seals. Amanda Seals was like the first woman that was really talking about this and like provided language and dialogue to things that I was feeling, to things like microaggressions, for instance. And so, I think that there's something really hard and difficult about this work that opens up once you have the language and you can speak about it.
yeah,
And I think that a
yeah,
lot of Black people have been stripped of that language, and we don't know how to describe these encounters that we're having and these experiences that we're having, and therefore we don't really know how to talk about it. Not only amongst ourselves, but definitely not to white people, or people, non-Black people. So yeah, it's really hard work. But yeah, because I did volunteer work, that's the only reason that I even have the language around it. Yeah, so
I
I,
love it. It makes me very excited.
I became very passionate about it. Although I did, as a side note, I did tell my brother and a few of my friends. If any of my friends are tuning in, you'll know I made a rule this year that I am no longer talking about race with white people, and like I need them to go and do the work, and I will provide anything I can, but anything that kind of bumps up against exhausting me or utilizing me as a source of information, I shut that conversation right down.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. It's I think that's kind of the first step to self-care, right?
Yes.
And protecting your space, and why it's important that I mean I sort of I'm an advocate for all the spaces, but
Yeah.
I think people have to self-select into them. Like you can't, I think that Black people need to have a space for themselves. I think the white folks need to have a space to have those conversations. And I think that there are times when white and Black and other folks need to come together to also have the conversations, but it has to be very carefully moderated or facilitated so that the learning is not done on the backs of the Black folks or the people of color in the room.
That's
And
right.
that, that's a special skill.
That's
It's really interesting conversations, but it's like, how do you, I don't think there's a magic key, right? You can't say, okay, we'll do this one thing and everybody will be safe. Like, I don't think that happens. I don't think that happens. And it's the same even with this deck. Lots of white folks have come to me and said, well, can I use this deck? I'm like, absolutely, you can use the deck. Can
yeah.
you dress up as Oya for Halloween? No.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the line. Yeah,
no,
that's the
no, that's
line.
not what we're doing
Don't
here.
cross it. Stay
Um,
over here.
but I think the wisdom in this deck coming from these Black goddesses, from their mythologies, from their stories, is just as important and critical and life changing as the stories of Brigitte or Kali or Kuan Yin or any of the other women from Athena, like all the Greek and Roman goddesses, many of whom got their start in North Africa, right? I think that this is it's critical. I think it's not just Black women who are suffering from not having this knowledge. It's everyone. It's the whole
Of
world.
course.
I think that we will take it on differently, right? And it's gonna be in our lives differently. I think the racial healing available to Black folks and white folks through the deck is different, and but it's available for both people,
Yeah.
for both I don't know,
And I think that that's really important. And I think that a lot of times,
categories of folks.
I think that we have a lot of these conversations where it's oppressed people hosting the conversation, like you said, not realizing that the people who are not oppressed or not marginalized are actually suffering as well. And it's not always highlighted. And I often say this, I sometimes when I don't want to niche down to Black folks, Indigenous folks, trans and gay folks, when I want to keep it kind of surface, I'll often go to just gender. And one of the things that I always say in gender, especially to men, is like, you may not see how this or a situation oppresses you, but it actually does. It goes both ways. And so these systems of oppression, freeing ourselves from them is not only freeing the marginalized and the oppressed, it's freeing the oppressor and the unmarginalized as well. And that's a conversation that I try to have a lot of the time, where I think, especially when it comes to race, a lot of white folks don't understand how they are affected deeply by this as well, that it's not just injustices to Black bodies, but that's a conversation for another time.
I mean, it's a conversation. It's I think it's not to say it's the conversation. It's absolutely a conversation that people need to have. Um, and I feel like as creators, we are, I don't want to use the word responsible, but we are fomenting. I don't know.
That's a
We
big,
are we are
you might need to add a definition at the bottom of that one. That's one of your $10 words.
oh my god, when I was writing my dissertation, I said, Dad, what do you think of this chapter? He got so pissed off. He's like, don't show me any more pages. I'm not reading that shit anymore. I'm just like, all right, Dad. All right. He's like, I
Because
need
we have to have a
dictionary.
dictionary beside it. We're like,
It's,
okay.
no, it's true, it's true. But I actually think that access is one of my core values. It's taken me some time to get there, but I'm like, oh no, I actually want this to be in the hands of, and be understandable to folks, right? And be easily, I don't know about easily, but I want it to be able to enter into their spirits, into their psyches, into their souls. And so we will not be using big words like foment, big $10 words. But maybe I reserve the right to change my mind on that.
Absolutely.
I was going to say something else, but I distracted myself with a dictionary
Sorry.
comment.
I think I took it on
Oh, I think we have a responsibility as creator to like seed all of those conversations,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's the conversation among the Black folks, it's the conversation among the white folks, and it's the conversation among. We don't necessarily have to facilitate them, although that's actually what I do. But just the deck itself, as it stands alone, it is a. I'm taking the word responsibility out of that sentence. I'm just going to say it is a seed for all of these conversations. It's a seed for all these conversations, and I do think that. Oh, I wanted to ask you this. I have totally gone way past the point, which is about magical collaborations, but we'll come. I mean, this is the magical collaboration, but I want to go back to the card about that. But this is, I think I distracted myself again. This is, yeah. Anyway, okay. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. I hope you remember. I hope it comes.
We'll come back. Well, it'll come back. It'll come back. What did you say? I don't remember what I said.
I was just talking about how oppression affects both sides of a situation, both sides of a coin.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I think the wisdom is one thing that's going to change minds, but I keep looking over there because my goddess altar is over there. But the images, right? Seeing, I think there's something that happens in our brains when you see again and again and again in oracle decks and in tarot decks that the goddesses and the queens and the empresses they're white women for the most part, right? There's been this, it's not even a whitewashing. It's just, there's just an erasure. There's no space for the Black bodies and bodies of color in spirituality systems like these oracle decks. And I think what happens is that you start to subconsciously associate divine with white female.
Yes.
Right. And I'm speaking specifically about the female body. And that's why this intervention is so critical. Like because images carry so much information.
Yes.
Right? Like we cultural mores, values, like how to behave, what's accepted and acceptable. So much info, like archaeology, we learn so much from what people have left behind. So much more information is conveyed through images than through words.
Yeah.
And, and so
Oh,
that's so to be able to look at a deck and to see
you're okay.
okay,
We can
let's
hear
see.
you. I can hear
Like to
you.
see Ma'at, right?
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
You're good. You're good.
It says my. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Come on, I'm gonna shake the headband. Come on, headband of power. Let's go. My head. It's my headband of interference. Um, to see these bodies,
Yes.
right, and to know, oh my God, that's divine. Like I realized that I had this sort of tautological philosophy about this. Like we are changing the way the world sees the black body
Yeah.
by demonstrating, having contemporary black women meet ancient divine goddesses so that people can see the human in us right
Yes.
now. Do you
I
know what I
mean,
mean? It's like this.
that's something you have said consistently through our design process, like, and you and I meeting and weekly we meet. And so, yeah, you have said that pretty consistently. And I agree with you. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's also true of like, I'll go back to me being biracial, that it's like most of my upbringing was in a predominantly white space. My mom is white. Her side of the family is who raised me. They're all white. And it wasn't until I got to like my 20s, I would even be bold enough to say my 30s, with the internet and Tumblr allowing me to look up women who looked like me. And that was like one of the first times that I was like, oh, there's like a whole world out here. And it's something that I pass on to my niece, where I'm just like, you need to look for women and girls who look like you, because there's lots of them. There's
Yeah.
lots and lots and lots of examples. And so, yeah, this project was also very at the core of me because of that, because it is like you said, in these spiritual spaces, it is an erasure that's happening, that is on purpose, and we need to start addressing it and making it like, this didn't all come from this divinity, isn't only white. And it
Right.
and there are a lot, and we all know about it, but it's not front row and center, right? We all hear about it, that it's like, oh, human race started in Africa, but it's like it's suddenly become this secondary thing, which is always shocking to me. So yeah, that was the other like core piece that I was like, yeah, this matters. This is good work. This is work that is both artistically up my alley and also aligns with me spiritually and emotionally and mentally. So yeah. Oh, are you frozen? Are you there?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. I hear you.
Oh, I see. Hear me? Okay, I heard everything you said.
Okay, good.
I heard everything you said. Okay. And my response to that is a question for you, actually. And I'm wondering if you would mind talking about, I called it a process hurdle. I don't know what you want to call it, but the moment where you sort of got stuck a couple of weeks ago when we were looking, well, not we, when you were looking for some stock photos.
I mean, I wasn't even stuck. It was a fucking, oops, sorry. It was like a Mac.
That's you.
It was a Mac truck that hit me. Yeah, and I mean, it still has its ripple effects even now. But essentially, what I will explain to everyone was, often in design, you can go about design in two different ways. You can create all of the assets and put them together, or you can search through stock images, or if you know other artists, you can source other artists and use their work in your work or as inspiration, et cetera, et cetera. And so for a lot of this project, in one section, we're using stock images and I'm rebuilding from scratch. And I'm realizing as I go through this process that what is happening is I'm taking several stock images and putting them together. And the reason is that there's so few Black representation that is on these stock photos for what we're looking for. So I'm finding myself having to build it from scratch. But a few weeks ago, I was hit with the very intense reality that Black representation in these stock photos is gone, and that any Black representation that is there is a very colonized version of Blackness. And that hit me because I was like, I now had to look at all of my art and everything I've created from this lens of being a colonized person. And that through many, 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 many generations, what I see as beautiful is actually a very colonized version of beautiful. And we all are. If you live in North America and you are a Black person or a person of color, it is a colonized version because we don't come from our people. Even if you are first generation Canadian or American, you are still getting a colonized version of your people's ancestry. And that I had never really thought of in the way of art making. And yeah, I started crying about it to Giavanni, basically. and
Oh,
the
it's
thing
so
is,
good.
like, Giavanni doesn't know me, but anyone who watches this that knows me knows that I'm a bee who cries, and I'll cry a lot and then I'll get over it really quickly. But yeah, I got very emotional on a call that we had because I was very frustrated. I was very, very frustrated. And typically when I'm frustrated in that way, I'll just go and create the asset, right? Because I have the skill set to go and take the photo. But it's like, oh, these are ancient African locations. Like, you can't just go and take the photo. So it was very, very frustrating. And that everyone who had taken the photo of this place or this space that was selling it on stock photography are non-Black people, are non-African people. And I was just overwhelmed with frustration and sadness for it. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. And again, like I said, it's a ripple effect. So it's still hitting me. I just had a conversation with my brother over the weekend where I'm like looking at pieces that I make. And I said to him, I'm like, is this just the whitewashed version of this? Like, is this even really what beauty is? Like, I don't even know anymore. And it's something that I'm still working through even now. Even in my own private practice, it's something that I'm definitely working through. But yeah, I think that was a big unexpected lesson for me. I didn't see that coming, and I didn't see it being that difficult. So yeah.
Well, and I know that we're still getting to know each other, but I don't do simple things.
I
My
mean,
therapist once was like,
your
"Why
answer
is it always hard?" I guess I like complex and complicated.
yeah.
I want to read you some of the quotes, some of the oh my god, the chat. Um, Harriet Tubman Wright says she's appreciating the truth and the depth of this dialogue, keeping it real. Tani says she never gets tired of Ma'at. Tani was Ma'at, so
Nice.
she never gets tired of seeing it.
That's funny.
Let's see. And I'm not seeing all the comments, but someone else says, "Oh, Harriet says again, speak truth, Marla Warner. I hear you loud and clear with the imagery." So this is where this is touching people's hearts, and it's a real thing. It's like I remember in that moment, I totally went into like healer holding space
It was
mode.
so wonderful. It was so nice. And the best part was is that you looked up because we were searching stock images at the same time. And so we were both just looking at our computers and not at the camera, right? And we are on Zoom often. And I'm like having an emotional breakdown. And then Giovanni looks up, she's like, oh, this is really affecting you. Oh, and then I can see that she like stopped searching and like was present and held space for me. And afterwards, once I composed myself, I was like very, very grateful to have that. I mean, anytime that you have an emotional uprising, so to speak, it's really nice when someone can just hold space and not have to like do anything or say anything and just let it happen. That's always really good. So yeah.
Ashe. I mean, I feel like this is what I feel like. I feel like, Marla, if we're having this level of emotional engagement in the creation of the deck, it means those who receive the deck can all like that energy is going to be infused into these images.
Yes.
I mean, that
Oh no,
people
you're cutting
hopefully
out.
like your willingness to go down this road.
Okay, now go. I think it's
Am I
working
still
now.
cutting out?
No, now it's good.
Hello? I- I'm gonna go inside. This is very annoying. Oh yeah, that's definitely bad. I mean, camera. Okay, if you can hear me, I'm going inside for a moment. Bear with me. Hello. Okay, this should be better. I'm definitely gonna put that thing back on. A little more Ma'at in our lives. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, this is great.
Okay. Yeah, I've got full bars.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Okay. Let's see if this works.
Okay.
All right. Um, I don't know what we were saying. What was I saying? Oh, what was I saying?
I was just talking about uh holding space. I was talking about holding space and how great you were and how you sprang to action and held space for me in that
Yeah,
moment.
this is. Oh, and I was saying about. So, did you hear me when I was saying that I think that your willingness to be vulnerable and to like confront the colonialism in this creation, I believe will be infused into the images.
Mm,
And when people receive the images and they're going through the deck, like I believe that that energy will transfer to them, right? And hopefully they're imbued with the willingness to receive all the wisdom and the magic in the deck, and to realize, and this goes for all people regardless of race, like just how deep and how I think impactful and how smart colonialism is, right? And how it's everywhere all the time, and it gets us to do its job for it. And so
yeah,
this is a direct intervention, decolonization process. It's a process of healing. It's a process of finding our own indigenous roots,
yeah.
right? Um, yeah, I was gonna go someplace else with that too, but that's a full stop for the moment. I can stop
All
there.
right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's no, I'm taking a breath.
I also, I just want to add, to talk up the deck, my practice now moving forward in what we're doing, especially if so the deck is split into three sections. The just so all of you know, like Giavanni already knows this information, but we've split the designing into three sections, and the first section has to do with a lot of ancient spaces. And so once I find a lot of the background imagery that we can use, I want all of you to know that pretty much everything else I'm building. Like, most of these images don't necessarily come together. So, there was one thing that I was working on where it was a photo of a woman, but the everything else around that woman I have constructed to send the message and show what we're trying to show, because this doesn't exist elsewhere. And so, when you do get the deck and when you do see it, just understand, like I showed my brother a small card of it, and I was like, Wellington, everything here is constructed. None of it exists in the real world. That is it, but it looks, and he's like, oh my God. He's like, wait a minute, this you made? I was like, I made all of it. I'm like, none of this exists. And he was like flabbergasted by that. He's like, oh, it looks like it came together, like you just snapped the photo. And I was like, I know, but I didn't. And so, I think that that's something that makes the deck really, really special, because after my meltdown, I realized, oh, I'm gonna have to build this. Like, it's not just a matter of taking this and shoving it together and making it look like they belong to one another. It's like reconstruction of the vision that Giavanni has is what's happening now. And
Well, I think it's also really important to state that we're dealing with black goddesses, right?
Mhm.
Who, at some point in their stories, they may have lived on the earth, but in other points, they didn't,
Yeah.
right? So I think that we can take a bit of, I don't even want to call it creative license, but like divine license. And I think that we are, I mean, and to say, from my perspective, I am completely focused on highlighting goddesses, cultures, geographies from Africa, and in some respects, certain places like locations or temples or I don't want to say too much, but other places that did exist, and like as Marla said, we don't have pictures of them, right? Or we don't have pictures from that time. If they still exist, they're in ruins. Um, I was going to make a point there. And that I'm completely committed to sharing as much about women in pre-colonial Africa as possible. So I really am giving Marla a run for her money because we're having to create all this, where we can, we're using photography. And this is the thing. Most Oracle decks do not use photography. Not all of them. I mean, but most of them do not use. They use illustration, which is do you hear the basketball game going on outside? Sorry. Which is a whole, and part of the reason that Marla was hired is because she said very confidently to me, "Oh, I am a Photoshop collage expert." And I was like, "You are the person that I'm looking for." Because
Yeah.
what we're doing is trying to create a world. I started actually referring to it just this week as the Black Goddess universe. Like
Oh,
we're
I like
creating,
that.
right?
Oh, I like
Right?
that.
The universe is we're creating a Black Goddess universe. And these locations, um, because we're dealing with ancient divinities, they really only exist in somebody's mind, right? So I think we're right on the money. In my humble opinion, we're right on the money.
Yeah. And the thing is that, like you said, because it's a photograph, it's not really a fantasy world, at least not this section of what we're doing. And so yeah, when you see it, it's gonna look like it's a photo that we captured in a moment, and it's just not. And I think that that's really cool, a little cool tidbit to anticipate from the deck, just to see what it will be.
So here's the hard part, Marla. So when we did this before, I think we did the retreat in August, and it was like a 3-day retreat in 2016. And then I think the graphic designer actually designed the 13 cards in like 4 weeks.
Mm.
And then we sent them to print, and we got them back in just like days before the launch event in December. So this happened in 5 months. But really, the graphic design happened in a month, right? So even if it was only 13 cards, so even if we multiply that by 3.5, that would still be that's about what we have. We have about 3 months, a little more than 3 months. But it's a much bigger endeavor, right? And I wasn't as involved in the graphic part of this. Like Marla's definitely made sure that I am participating. I was like, Marla is working me. She's working me in an area that I am not developed in. Like my PhD is in culture and performance. Do you know what I'm saying? It is not in visual art. I am a performer. Oh man, but I'm so excited about this work, and the point I was trying to make was we got the proofs back. I don't know, maybe October, and I would do like these. This is my voting ballot, but I'd be like, here's a sneak peek. Like I would just sort of. I don't know when we're gonna get these cards, but I'm not gonna do a sneak peek. And this deck is not being released until June or July of next year, so I have to sit on these images, and it's killing me, right? It's killing me. And we've just gotten started, and I'm just like, oh my god, I don't know. We're somewhere in like around 10, and we've got 44, 34 more to go. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can make it. And even the women who were in the program and in the photo shoot, in the pilgrimage, not program, in the photo shoot, we had to have them sign an NDA because they also can't share the images, even of them not in the set, but in their costumes until, or I'm sorry, not the costumes, in their outfits, in their wardrobe until again June or July of next year. So there's a lot of like, how do you build anticipation and excitement but never show anybody the images? I'm like, just keep looking at Maat. Here, I'll show you another one. You can have another one while you're waiting. You know what I mean? Here, there's Andromeda. Andromeda also, people think she's Greek. She's not. She's an Ethiopian princess. Right? Here we go. I had another question to ask you. Let me tell you what Charlotte Sherman says. She says, the ancient is represented but this also sounds like Afrofuturism. We're projected into all time, the past and the future. Pure black genius on the part of Marla and Dr. G and all the creatives involved. And I will say that Charlotte Sherman was my first guest on the Black Goddess Lives, and she
Oh,
has written a book about Black mermaids, a young Black mermaid.
cool.
And has done a lot of research about Black and brown mermaids around the world. And you'll never guess what she was in the deck or what she's going to be, who she met in the deck. I won't tell you, but you should be able to figure it out. She also said, oh, Harriet says Black Goddess Universe. That's right, 21st century and beyond. And then Charlotte says, but your vision, though, Dr. G, it's highly visual. It is,
Thank
Charlotte.
you.
It is.
Who said that?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, thank you. Because we get in these meetings and I'm constantly like, no, your vision is actually very, very clear. And like she sometimes just has to sit with it. And like she doesn't see herself that way. But it really is like of all the clients that I've worked with, it's not a matter of me coming to you with like, okay, well, what about this? What about this? No, you're very clear on what you want. It's now just me having to go and source it because I'm like, this doesn't exist in the world. And so, but you're very, very clear on what you want because you have the visual, you know what you want to see.
I see, and I disagree. I think I know how I want to feel. And that's
good too. I mean, that's also incredibly helpful in the design process. So,
well, and I think maybe where we sort of like where we miss each other on this one is that because I can't create the visual images, I feel like I'm not visual. But maybe I can see them, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm like I'm not visual. Right. But this actually I think is a great time to bring in like why we're meeting today, which is the magic of collaboration, right? And the card that I don't have at my fingertips at this moment is the Baobab card. Oh, I think it's. Oh, I don't think it's here. It's the Baobab card in the original deck, in the OG deck, and it's holding space. And holding space is really all about. There's a proverb about the Baobab, and the Baobab is found all over the continent of Africa, and it's about not holding things alone. It's about community, right? It's about, in my case, hiring professionals, right? And you know the team that we had to get to really execute the Photoshop with a very little amount of stress on the day. There was a lot of stress beforehand. There's a lot of movement beforehand, but on the day it was very stress-free. I think everyone had a wonderful time. People were beautiful. I feel like people said that they felt like they really embodied the goddess in front of the camera, you know, and these energies, these goddess energies, we know are going to stick with people. And it's like we had three makeup artists, two hair artists, one wardrobe person, two volunteers, one production person. Three volunteers, Erica, Tania, and Rafina, one production person. My husband came and helped. I feel like we had the venue that had somebody who was there helping. And that we have Marla, right? We have the photographer, Erica from SoCal Standard. We had the behind the scenes videographer and photographer. And it was just like, it was really wonderful to be supported, to be able to bring this vision for life. That's right. Charlotte says, standing over your team. I love it. I love it. And honestly, it was the first time, because the last time I had a photographer and I'm so sorry, women of the first deck. I rented this like shitty little converted garage that clearly men lived in. It was so gross. It was like, y'all need to vacuum before you try to rent this space out. Anyway, we got the pictures done, but it was really just the photographer who was, and Giavanni came and did makeup. Like we were doing each other's hair, we were doing each other's outfits. It was a lovely collaborative, like really sort of sister experience, but it wasn't, it was really, I did all the planning, right? And I was like, oh my God. And I feel like I left everything on the table. I'm like all the energy, all the money, all the all the effort, all the thinking, all the connections, and I was really, really wrung dry. It took me like a year and a half to recover from that project. I was out. Like I went into a depression afterwards. It was bad.
I've had those creative endeavors.
Right.
Yeah, one of my first pop-up parties was definitely like that. I don't look back at it in any way, but I got very, very sick afterwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you do things like this, it is absolutely imperative that you have a team, and I think that is the hardest part. And this is where you are very much an artist, because as artists, we work very independently and we work very much like on our own. And then once you understand the collaborations that's needed in your second round, it always works out better. But
It's, I mean,
yeah,
I feel like I was wiped out last week, but now, I mean, I am not falling into a depression. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like that's not what's happening right now.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I really shut down. It was kind of scary. Like looking back,
yeah,
I was like, oh, that was a bad time.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's like giving birth essentially. And so when you give birth, you need a support system. You
you
can't do
do,
it alone.
you do.
So yeah, I can totally relate to that as far as like needing to collaborate and understanding the magic of it. Yeah.
Well, I want to open up to questions. I want to. It takes a second for the questions to come through, so I'm just going to ask whoever's watching. If you're there, say hello. Let us know that you're there. And if you, me and this headband, um, this is my magical headband that's keeping the electronic interference at bay, so that we can actually stay.
I mean, it also just looks beautiful as
Isn't
well.
it cute? I wish. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know. I have to take some
it
pictures in
does
this.
look beautiful.
I think I may cut my locks and just get some bangs. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, that would be sick. You should get dreadlock bang.
That's what I'm saying. Some dread bangs, like get like
Yeah,
that'd be cute,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it's
yeah.
not gonna happen. I'm not doing that. Okay, let's see. Are anyone wanting asking questions? I don't see any questions. I also don't see all the comments. Oh, Kamala loves the headpiece. Thank you. I do too. I think it's really beautiful. Um, is there anything else I want to say, Marla? Anything else you want to say today about the magic of carefully curated collaborations? Because I think that carefully curated part is also really important. It's like, we're also, the other side of this is this deck is also going to be published by a large international publisher, which I think I will be able to actually say who it is in the next week or so.
Nice.
Um, and they actually pushed me, right? I don't even think they know that they pushed me because I've been talking about the second deck for a long time,
Mm,
like 5 years. And
mm,
then when they came on board, and I was like, oh, we got to get this done for real, and then we put that date down. So even bringing them in,
yeah.
and knowing that, because me and my family have been handling the distribution of the current deck, and it really is a family affair. Like my kid and my mom come over when I buy them by like 500 at a time, and they stuff the envelopes, and then we close them. We put the little card, like it's a whole thing. It's a whole. Then we've got thousands of them sitting down here on the floor. My husband actually he prints the stickers and puts them on, and he puts them in the mail. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But we, at the number that I plan to generate these at for the next deck, we couldn't handle it. So to have a machine basically come in and like they have a whole thing set up, and they will take care of all the distribution and the printing. It's another part of this team. And
Yeah.
so I feel like being supported. I mean, it's one of those things that we know works and we know feels good, but I think especially as Black women, we don't really, it's not our go-to.
Mm,
Being supported is not the place that we go first.
mm,
And I'll speak for me and myself. Like, it's definitely a skill I've had to learn, but it's also a skill that has benefited me amazingly, and to see it in action. Like, I sat down during the photo shoot, and my friend was like, "You're sitting down, and you don't seem stressed." I was like, "Because the team is in action.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everything is being handled."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna say something that's like so taboo, especially as a woman. But I often play the damsel in distress. I have no problem about it at all. And like most of my friends are like, "Really? But like you're so strong." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm so strong because I play the damsel in distress when it's necessary." And so like, I have a lot of male friends who like really, really, really always want to help me, and I'm so grateful for them. And I'm like, yeah, let's give them a task to do. Like I have no problem,
I love
but
it.
as an artist, I have a problem getting people to help. And so that's where I get a little, and it's not even like I'm trying to be strong. It's very territorial. And it's something that I'm really working on, and not being territorial over my work and over the vision, and to kind of allow for other visions to come in, artistically speaking. But in my day-to-day life, oh no, I play the damsel in distress all the time. All the time.
We have a joke in our family. When I want Linda to do something, I'm like,
Exactly. And it's something that I encourage all of my girlfriends to do. I'm like, look, The reality is this. My brother is 23 years old and 6'3". He has a huge gait. He can make it up our street way faster than I can. So let him do the task. Like, like there are just certain tasks that other people are built for that like I have no problem asking for
I
that.
love that. I love that.
But
Um,
artistically, I'm learning. I'm learning to ask for that help. Yeah.
it's a thing you have to develop. If you don't have it, I mean, there's some people are born with it, and maybe like you said, there's spaces in which it's easier to ask for help.
Yes.
Um, I maybe there's like asking for help and asking for support. Like maybe there's some languaging that we can
Yes.
do around that.
Yes.
Some
Agreed.
changing. I don't know what the answer is there, but I do feel like help has or asking for help has a like a there's like a weakness implied
Mm.
versus
Or like I can't do this, like a
yeah,
feeling almost.
versus we can do this efficiently if we do it as a unit.
Yes, yes,
That's a little
exactly,
different. That's
exactly.
interesting. Okay, I
And
never thought
and
about
I
that.
think that that could be why, a lot of people in general have a hard time asking for help because it's like I'm not incapable of doing this, but it would be better if someone stronger in a certain area does this
A
because
hundred percent.
you're built to do this. This is, and this is something that I'm learning in like leaning into my divine feminine, and it's something that's very new for me as far as like handling things in my life. Though that's another area that I'm very protective of and I don't really ask for help, but I'm really learning to lean in and ask for help. That it's like there are just other people in my life that are better equipped to handle this, and like let's just give them the reins for a minute. And I think that it comes down to when you ask for help, you have to have built a level of trust with those people, and that comes down to knowing yourself, right? So that is a whole other piece that I think the reason people have a hard time asking for help is because they don't trust themselves to vet the people they're asking for help from. And that's a whole other soul searching endeavor that everyone has to go on. But
Well,
if
and
you
then
can,
there's a management piece too.
what's that?
Like then there's also a management piece. Like once you ask for the help, you've got to manage it.
Well, if you've vetted properly, if you vetted people properly, which comes from a very comfort knowing place of yourself, you'll know whether who to assign to what task, right? Even if it's personally, like I think sometimes when I've been disappointed, even in my romantic relationships, for instance, it's because I didn't vet him properly. And like now going through it, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to ask very different questions
Hmm.
than I've asked in the past. And that is also true of friendships. That's also true of sibling relationships and family relationships. That it's like, if you vet properly, if you find out where that person is at and how they're doing, you'll be able to understand how and where they can show up long before you ever need to ask. But it's a
I love
process. It's a long
vetting.
process.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
that. Vetting.
Yeah.
And what you I think this may be a great place to sort of, conclude our conversation with this instruction to vet.
Yeah.
I do want to tell you a little story that is not as funny because I don't have the pictures, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. Before I hired the first graphic designer, I tried to design the cards, and oh no, that's the appropriate response. When I find the cards, I have them somewhere. When I
Oh, I'm
find the
gonna want to see
images,
those.
I
Not
could,
gonna lie to you, I'm really gonna want to see those.
they're awful. They're awful.
I don't know about that because you've shown me some stuff that you have classified as awful in your own art practice, and I disagree. I actually think they're quite beautiful. They need more attention and more work, but they're beautiful. They're a
They're
beautiful
unfinished, but they're beautiful.
yeah.
Um, okay, we have it on video that you think that it might be beautiful, and then we should get back on video and let me send you the images, and you're
Yeah,
gonna be
or
like,
do a live reveal. Like make sure that I see them as it's live. That would be hilarious. But one thing that I do want to say to the audience from an artistic standpoint is I recently watched a TikTok and it said there was an experiment done where they had a collection of artists try and make bad art over the course of, I think it was 24 hours. They had to make bad art. And the reality is, the longer you spent on a piece, the harder it was to make bad art. And
hmm.
so good art has nothing to do with talent or experience or anything like that. Time spent doing that art is what makes it good. And so, yeah, in that experiment, they found that I think it was actually a course credit. That's what it was. It was a dissertation course credit. And they had the whole course to make bad art. One piece, make it bad. But because they had 6 months to do it, there was every single person failed the class, because eventually you end up making something very beautiful with more time spent. And that's it. And I think that that can be a life lesson as well. More time spent makes something beautiful. That simple. So go back to your.
I'm still gonna send you these pictures. I mean, I didn't even use. I found some like online version of free Photoshop. It was so bad.
That's already the starting off point. That's like using a dollar store tools to try and build a carpentry bench.
It's you're not wrong, Marla. You're not wrong. They're actually not horrible. They just don't
No,
do
I bet
justice
they're
to the thing. And so they're on my other computer. I'm gonna find them now. Um,
not.
before I forget. That is so hilarious. Marla, I'm so grateful that we had this conversation together and that people joined and were able to ask questions. And I think it's also really important to give them to get a sense of who's behind the art,
Yeah.
you know, who's creating the art. And I really want people to I want the deck to feel like a sibling. You know what I mean? I want it to feel like family. That's what I'm trying to build. There's not just a team, but a family.
I like that.
Yeah. Any famous last words?
No, I think that's about it. I think that's about it. Till next time.
Excellent. I'm going to keep my headband on and I'm going to go to soccer practice now.
Love it. Do it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye everyone.